Hey, so Kristen, do you ever get that feeling like, since you've turned 40, I mean, we've been over 40 for a while. So but I always hear this like kind of like dress for your age and be more refined or be more elegant and all of that kind of stuff. And so, but like, I don't know, do you ever feel like you're being asked to like tone down your style, or do you feel like you've toned down your style?
I find that whole concept so annoying. It makes me like borderline angry, but it exists,
Mhm.
right? And I have felt that way sometimes, and I try not to succumb to that pressure, that external pressure. But sometimes, especially like not living in a big city, I feel like, oh, what like I'm not gonna look wild today. But there are I find a lot of inspiration in some influencers sometimes, like influencers in like that old school street style photography. Like sometimes that,
Mhm.
can bring the inspiration back and like push away that pressure. How about
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if I've ever really necessarily felt like I had to tone down, but I've always actually kind of felt kind of the opposite, like since being 40, like being more free to experiment and to play and to do things because like I'm more established in my career or, I'm doing my own thing and so I can do what I want and I'm not like I don't feel like people are like looking at me or anything like that. So it's just like, why don't I
Yeah.
like go crazy then, right? And so
Yeah, that's the
so
beauty of like not worrying about cat calls and all that bullshit, right?
yeah, I know. And then it's just like I can be that kind of like that high school art teacher aesthetic
Yeah.
that I love, but then I've always loved. And so, like it just also like brings to mind like some people that, I've just seen like over the years, like just like really like go into their style and just like really become more experimental, more colorful, more bold, and more playful. And I just really love to see how women ease into that. And I think it's really cool.
Me too. Who is like one of your favorite street style like people influencer types?
Well, I mean, I have so many, and especially since I've been, was like one of the early bloggers, like we all kind of
Yeah.
know each other for some reason. And so like one of my favorites is Liisa Jokinen, who is the founder of the Gem app, and she's been photographing like hell looks and NYC looks for like 2 decades. And I remember I was like following her back in like 2006.
Yeah.
And then the blog community was like so small back then, like we all knew each other. And so we just kept
Yeah.
in touch like over the years. And she was actually my neighbor for a while in San Francisco, which
Oh
was
my God.
crazy. And she used to take photos of me for my blog. So that was like,
Oh
it
my
was just really cool.
God.
Yeah. And yeah, but like the thing I like about Lisa's style is that it's so unique and it has such a strong point of view. Like she's so colorful, like and puts things together in really unique ways. And I just love how like as like we're the same age, and so I just love like how she has continued that point of view like all throughout the years, and she hasn't toned down like at all. And I think that's just so cool to see.
I love that. Also, didn't she found the Gem app,
Yeah.
which is like a search engine for all like secondhand and vintage clothing?
Yeah.
She's pretty cool. She's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Do you think she would come on the podcast?
I think so. I think so. I don't know. I mean, yeah, no,
We could
yeah, well,
ask her.
yeah, we should ask her. No, I'm just kidding because we already did ask her and she's here. So I cannot wait to share Lisa with you all because like she's just an amazing person and I just really think that the world needs to know her more. So yeah, let's go talk to her.
So excited.
Hi, welcome to the Closet Philosophy Podcast. This is Janine. I'm a personal stylist.
And this is Kristen. I'm a fashion writer, and we're here to uncover the ways that your personal style is so much more than just clothes.
Whether you realize it or not, what you wear touches on science, psychology, culture, politics, and so much more.
Today on Closet Philosophy, we are joined by Liisa Jokinen, a Finnish-born street style photographer and the founder of the Gem app, the powerful search engine for vintage and secondhand fashion. Through her iconic street style projects like Hell Looks and NYC Looks, since 2005, Liisa has been documenting how people use clothing to tell their real stories. Today, she helps thousands find their unique style through the magic of secondhand discovery, reminding us that finding your style isn't about starting over, it's about finding the pieces that already match your soul.
Welcome, Lisa. I'm so glad to have you here. Oh my God. It's so
Yeah.
crazy because like you're one of the first blogs that I followed back in like 2006. So like yeah, so I started into blogs like a little bit after you did.
Wow, that's so wild that we have kind of known each other for so long.
I know. Almost 20 it 20 years. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to yell. So I didn't even do the math there. So yeah, almost 20 years. Yeah, so that's so cool. So yeah, so I mean, with all of this like experience that you've had, like you've been consistent all throughout the years in terms of like documenting people like all over the world, not just New York and Helsinki, but also in San Francisco. And I was just wondering, like, since you've captured so many different styles through your photography, what patterns have you noticed among people who feel truly at home in their style?
I think this was like such a challenging question for me first because you sent this me earlier. And I was like, how could I know? But then when I started thinking, I was like, yeah, maybe I there are some patterns. And I would say like the first thing obviously is that those people just love the clothes that they're wearing. So that, when you love your clothes, you have a good relationship with them and you just feel good and happy wearing them. It's just so simple. So
Hmm.
that would be like the first thing that I would answer. And then secondly, I think also like quality, quality clothing. And now it doesn't necessarily need to mean that it's something that is like super expensive and exclusive and elitist, because we know, as you both are probably like, and I know Janine, you are very good at thrifting and secondhand, vintage, and probably Kirsten, you are too. So we know that the older clothes have usually better quality. And so it doesn't, if you want to have a quality clothing, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to spend a lot of money on them. But if you have like good fabrics, clothes that fit well, of course, that gives you also confidence and you look like confident, happy wearing your outfit. So those are my two answers, love and quality.
Oh yeah, I know. I love that because like like it was actually interesting because like the other week I had a photo shoot and I was like I don't have any interesting clothes. Like I need to go buy new clothes. And then I was like, wait a minute. Like I have so many clothes. Like it's not even funny. Like I'm sure I have something. And then so I just like remembered like what I wanted to say like in the photo shoot. And then all of a sudden, like I realized like I had all of those pieces and like the pieces I picked that made me feel like the most confident were pieces that I wear on repeat like all the time. I wear them every year. I don't wear them like every day necessarily, but like I wear them like repetitively throughout time. And so it sounds like the people that you're kind of more gravitating to are people who like know what they like and also really have that relationship where they wear the clothes. They don't just buy them and consume them. They actually have a relationship with them.
Yeah, and you could maybe say that they are dressing for themselves, not for the other people. Of course, you can't avoid like dressing for other people when you go outside, but it's more like you are choosing the clothes that you personally like and love. You are not choosing some clothes that everyone else is wearing and that you feel like you should be wearing, something that is like in fashion or trendy. But
Mhm.
I love that you mentioned like your staple pieces that you gravitate towards, time after time, because I think people quite often, like when they have a really good personal style, they have kind of developed some kind of uniform
Hmm.
dressing. They have like their signature thing that they are like repeating. And
Hmm.
I think that's like always so wonderful and fascinating to see. And it might be even something that you haven't realized yourself, because you
Hmm.
are like, you are naturally gravitating towards those outfit combinations and pieces. But, there it is, it's your uniform.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think sorry, like I was just like it just kind of brought to mind like a lot of my clients talk about like being stuck in a rut. And so like how do you know if it's like a uniform or if you're stuck?
Wow, that's a good question. Wait a minute. Now I really need to
I didn't put
think.
that on the list, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I have like a theory, but
Yeah, tell me. I feel like I would say that that's like it's like a mental thing, like your attitude. Maybe if you feel that you are in a style rut because you're just getting bored of what you've been wearing, and then you just need to have a little break out of your uniform. And the uniform doesn't necessarily mean like it's like the same clothes every day or every week, but it's more like two-piece sets or suits, or maybe your uniform is having like something layered on top of each other, or it's like a combining like something like mini skirt with a blouse, or it's more like a silhouette or color type of thing. So there can be variation inside your uniform.
Yeah, because if you're stuck, you're not feeling good in your clothes. So if it's like your uniform that projects like who you are and makes you feel good, then you're probably going to want to take a picture of them. Like it will just like emanate off of them. But if you're wearing the same thing all the time and you're stuck, you might just not feel good. Maybe like your body changed over the past few years, or like maybe something shifted in your life and like now that uniform doesn't work anymore. So you have to kind of like step back and maybe like hang out with Janine for a little while and see see how you can like shift things.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because I think we also need to understand that everything changes in life. Nothing is like constant. So not only our bodies change, but also our life situation, and
Yeah.
therefore our taste in style and clothes changes too. So sometimes you need to, adjust
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, I also kind of feel like there's like a certain amount of personal growth that happens. And so like when you have like a uniform that you really love, it's like reflecting of like how you feel about yourself in a moment of time. But like you said, like people grow and people change. And so like when that person grows, all of a sudden that moment of time is no longer working for them. Like I have this client who really wanted to have like elegant style. Like she really wanted to dress like elegantly. And so like then she nailed it elegantly, but then she realized that she was like too nice when she's dressed in elegantly. Like she wanted to have like stronger boundaries and be more powerful or sassy or speaking out more. And so she wanted to have like more like unexpected elements in her wardrobe. And so we were talking about integrating things like camouflage and, animal prints or, things along those lines and that were more bold. And and that was like that craving for something new or different was driven by her shift in like her personal growth. And so, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. I'm excited also to talk to you about the Gem app. So you built Gem to make secondhand shopping easier. How can women use it to find or use secondhand in general to find themselves instead of just chasing trends?
I love this question. For me, like secondhand, it means freedom. It's freedom from like you don't need to be following trends and fashion so keenly. And when you shop secondhand and vintage especially, uh, it contains everything that ever was. So you have like
True. Oh my
everything,
God.
all the past fashions and all the clothing times, all the colors, all the skirt lengths
Mhm.
available, and you can choose. whatever you have. Of course, that can be super overwhelming, and then we need to ask Janine for help again. But there is just so much more freedom when you shop secondhand because there are like less limits. Because for me personally, whenever if I visit a retail store selling new clothes, I just find it either it's like too boring to me, or then it's just like way too trendy. And I'm not this person who is supposed to be shopping here. So it's not me. And then I happily leave empty-handed.
Mhm.
Uh, Even like the colors seem to be like a bit wrong for me if I go to a store, and I feel if you go like shopping to a mall or department store, you know how the fashion is. Only certain things are fashionable at this specific moment in time. So it means that it's limited. All the brands and labels are offering you kind of similar pieces. But whereas if you go vintage shopping, you have everything that you ever wanted
Mhm.
and to choose. So if you're like maybe miniskirts are into fashion, they are everywhere, but they are not your thing, then, go vintage shopping and you will find like other skirt lengths.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like the fashion industry now is really it's different from the way that it used to be because it was more driven by in prior times it seemed like it was more driven by a point of view, right? Like a point of view or like a creative endeavor or trying to say something new or different. And now it's more driven by the bottom line, by capitalism, by profit, because the fashion industry is like such razor thin, like margins and a lot, especially like young, like independent labels, they have to make what sells. And so it's like that whole kind of like push and pull. And like that's why you probably see like very few colors today because it's like it appeals to a market, not so much to like an individual person. But it sounds like what you're saying with vintage, it's like you have access to different points of view that isn't necessarily about selling, it's more about expression.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And when you think about like current fashion companies or like the margins are so tight, they can't take risks, and that leads to, more black, less color type of situations. And
Mm.
of course, there are always exceptions. There are smaller designers who have like other viewpoints and more interesting designs and items for sale. But no, like generally speaking, it's more boring than shopping vintage, at least for me.
Mm. Yeah. So I was wondering, like, if you have such like a strong point of view with your own fashion, so I almost like don't even think that you've ever been like stuck with your style. But like, if you were into that position, where if you were ever in that position, where would you start looking to reconnect with your style? Like, how would you do it? How would you get unstuck?
Mm. Of course, I've been stuck. I think we all been there. Well, so maybe I need to explain my lifestyle a little bit before I answer this question. So I'm originally like Finland, like you said, and 10 years ago we moved to California first, and now I live in New York most of the time. But I live very nomad life, so I have most of my clothes constantly, always in a storage unit. I have one storage unit in Helsinki, in Finland, and then I have one here in New York. And we just spent like 3 months in Los Angeles, escaping the cold New York winter. And then I had just like a suitcase of clothes. And I, of course, had to be like super mindful and picky, like what to pack. I had, something warm. Los Angeles is not always that sunny and warm, and, fit everything in one suitcase. So it's not like super easy. So I feel like in that kind of situation, I do get like so bored with my clothes because I have limited amount of choices with me, and I was like, okay, now I would just love to go thrifting and have like more of anything so that I could create more, more kind of outfit combinations. But quite often it helps if I just get like one new piece, and then, suddenly it opens up, different combinations. So maybe if you are if you have access to your full wardrobe, maybe just try to, pull out pieces and see if you could create something like new kind of combinations that you haven't been wearing before, because that can like not lead to not only one but several new outfits.
Mhm.
That would be one key. And also, like, before, I feel like some getting older, I feel like thinking like, okay, what is my style? Of course, I've been like questioning it. And then thinking like what I would like to wear. And I think we all have like some people that we admire. We admire their confidence and style. And then I was thinking like, okay, why do I admire this person's style? And I would love to dress like the same way as she does. And then I was like, huh, of course I can do that. No one says that I couldn't, like, you know copy some like elements from her style, because I was thinking like, I wish I could be as cool as this person is. But then I realized that, hey, I can be that person. It's like up to me. I can totally choose myself. And then that really helped, because I think like from that moment on, I've been like more free. Like whenever I spot something that really speaks to me and I'm like, whoa, that is so cool. Like it can be a pair of sunglasses or like ultra baggy jeans. I'm like, yeah, I love them. I'm going to wear them. I'm not asking like if I'm too old or too little, anything to wear them.
Mhm.
So I would say like, if you have like any persons that you really admire, the way that they dress up, stop for a moment and analyze like, what are those elements and why do you actually like them? Is
Mhm.
it their attitude, or is it like the colors that they wear, or is it like just specific pieces? And then try to see if you can incorporate those elements into your own personal style.
Oh, but I think that that's like a really like interesting thing because it sounds like you look at to like other people for inspiration. You're not just like focus in like on yourself. And so do you think you can maybe explain like a little bit of the creative process in terms of like how do you go from like seeing somebody's like style to deciding like, oh, I like that, and then you want to integrate it into your own style? For example, like for me, like when I see something I like about somebody else, I like kind of let that sit in my head and I kind of like I feel like the parts that I remember about, because you never remember something exactly like you saw it. You never exactly like what did I like about that thing? For example, like that time that we had coffee and you were wearing this like Isimiyaki turtleneck with like the Mickey Mouse sweater over it. I don't know if you remember you were wearing that.
Yeah. I didn't remember that I did, but I do remember those items. Yes, I still have them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like but what I liked about but I liked the way that you layered the pleats with the knits. And I think back as like, okay, like I don't necessarily have the budget yet for Isimiake or like, and I not as good at finding like those unique things like the Mickey Mouse shirt, but I can like mix like the pleats with like the knits and like kind of mix like the textures or kind of look at textures in like more interesting ways. And then I take that element because that's what I liked about it and like integrate it into my own style.
Hmm.
So,
Okay. Yeah. I feel like maybe I have this like mindset that everything goes together.
mhm.
I
Yeah,
just,
same.
I just put things together and then I just go outside and see if they work. Or
Mhm.
maybe I have a look in the mirror, but not always. So yeah, because I think this comes back to the photographs that I take. And now I'm thinking about like really like early days when I started documenting street style in Helsinki. So that was 2005, like you said. And I feel like the best outfits always for me are kind of like there is something weird and unexpected in them. It's like a whoa moment, like a huge surprise. It's something that I have never seen before. And when it's like a person who loves the pieces, like we discussed earlier, they love the items, they love the clothes that they're wearing for like all kinds of reasons, and they put those things together, and that looks wonderful. Although many people, you might think that you can't like mix and match like plates and polka dots, for
Mhm.
example. And I'm like, of course, like polka dots and plates, that's the best thing I've ever seen, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just like my own like personal taste. I like really like when it's like a bit weird and wild, like on the borderline being like totally kind of wrong and off. And
Hmm.
so that the outfit is like challenging to me when I spot it in the street and I'm taking the photo. I like gravitate towards those kind of outfits that are like challenging. And maybe like through my photography, I have learned to like those weird combinations and odd things, mixed in together. And then I have also personally learned that I can wear anything with everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So okay, so I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like asking like all these questions, but like I think because
That's what you're supposed to do.
yeah, I know. But like okay, okay. But like this is like the thing because like I have what I call the iconic style matrix, and it's like a matrix of like how you mix and match because a lot of times people, I also believe that anything goes together. Like you could put anything together and like sequin pants with a sweatshirt and like,
Oh,
like
oh, that's
cowboy
wonderful.
boots. Like you can do like whatever you want, right? And so, but a lot of times people get stuck like, okay, this goes like a blazer goes with trousers or or so forth. And then so like what is your method for like what is your process for like mixing and you said like things don't everything goes together. So how do you decide like what goes together?
Oh, I think like a good outfit needs to have a contrast. So
Mhm,
that's like kind of the opposite of this, like maybe traditional thinking. Like
mhm,
I think the best outfits mix and match like either like traditionally like the so-called feminine and masculine elements. Maybe it is the sequins with something sporty. I think that's one of the my favorite combinations actually. Or something like looser with something tighter. But there needs to be a contrast. If there are no contrasts, it's boring to
mhm.
me. That's it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So cool.
Great. So I think are we all Gen X? I
Yeah,
think
I
so.
think so. I think we're
Generation
about
X.
the same age. Like,
Yeah.
how old are you, Lisa?
I'm 50,
Yeah, same. Okay. So you're born in 75 or
74. So
74. Okay, so we're
50
about
and
this.
a half.
Okay. So we're like 6 months apart, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
um,
an oldster. I'm 56, so I'm going to be 57 in May. So
happy
I'm an
birthday.
elder Gen Xer.
Oh, cool though.
But I think, our generation, we've always incorporated thrifting and vintage into our style. Like it's a very like grunge, grunge kind of style. And I'm wondering how you think that has impacted the style of younger generations. And also, do you think it's impacting our style now? Because I think a lot of times I still love the things I wore in the 90s. And and sometimes I think, oh, should I still be wearing this? I wore it in the 90s, but I love it. So I'm just curious what you think about that sort of generational aspect of thrifting and style.
Well, I'm back to wearing my old Y2K stuff, and I'm
Yeah,
so happy that I kept some of them, and I deeply regret of putting away my low waist Miss 60 and diesel jeans, bootcut.
God, I forgot about Miss 60.
Oh, I'm mad at myself. I would totally wear them. So yeah, I keep repeating I keep wearing the same stuff all over again. Now one of my favorite shirts is like this old Gusto Barcelona long sleeve t-shirt that I bought together with my friend. We made a trip to the department store and we bought like Gusto Barcelona shirts together with different prints.
Yeah, they had the very wild prints. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
and they are
Yeah.
coming back strongly now again. But yeah, so of course I love that younger generations are like so much into secondhand and thrifting. And I feel like once you start secondhand shopping and wearing anything old thrifting, there is no way of like turning fully back because there are so many benefits when you shop secondhand. Of course, it's more sustainable, it's often more affordable, there are more options, and so on. And I feel like the beauty of secondhand and the fun point, especially when you are younger, is that when you can thrift something very cheap, it allows you to experiment, because when you are younger, around like, I would say for me it was maybe when I was 15 to 25 or even 30, but it's like a really like a period of like style experimentation when I was going through a lot of phases. And I'm so happy that I was able to thrift so much so that, I could, create all kinds of crazy outfits and just easily, cheaply
Mhm.
test different things. And I feel like that's a very important like phase in your life. But also
Did
do
you
not.
live, did you grow up mainly in Finland? Did you live in Finland at that time when you were
Yes,
younger?
yeah.
Okay.
So we moved to California like 10 years ago. So
Oh,
I've
okay.
lived more longer in Finland than in the US. Yeah.
How was like the secondhand shopping in Finland back in the day? Because like, like I had grown up thrifting. Like I just thrifted since I was in high school. And when I moved to Germany, the thrifts they had like Oxfam, but it just wasn't the same. It was like I'm because like Europeans tend to buy less and wear things longer. So like it's not like Americans like just buy, and then we just like throw things out like, like we don't care. Like and so like the thrift stores have like so much in them and but in Europe it's like really different. And so how was that like thrifting back in the day? And like and what did you think when you came to America and tried like thrifting for the first time?
Yeah. So if I go first back in time, so I've been like wearing old clothes all my life, and thrifting has always been like super good in Finland, I feel.
Mhm.
There was always still a lot of things to find and discover and shop, so there was not lack of it. And I feel like it was super affordable. So yeah, it was easy, and like everybody was wearing secondhand. Like
Mhm.
like our parents would shop secondhand, everyone. And it was like a really, for most people, it was like a normal thing to do. But when
Hmm.
I moved here, of course, I was like, wow, like there is so much stuff. Like I was really blown away, both in a good and bad way, I guess.
Yeah.
And that led me to like kind of like confusion, because if I wanted to find something specific, I didn't know where to start looking for it. And that led us to create the Gem app eventually.
Yeah. And so like how has the Gem app changed your style? Because I hear from like people in my community, they shop the Gem app and they use it to find, when they get cravings for certain things, they use it to find like exactly what they're looking for. But like, how has it changed your style?
It has made like me personally, it calms me down. Because maybe before, like when I moved to California, there were like I think like at that point, like 10 years ago, there were a lot of like Instagram vintage stores, like stores selling on Instagram. And where already back then, the way the Instagram algorithm works is that when I saw the posts, the everything was already like sold,
Mm,
gone. And I was like so desperate, because I also wanted to have those items and I didn't know where to find them, and I didn't know like how could I see those posts a bit earlier so I could like compete, for those items too. But then now that we have the Gem app, the I can see like how much there is. There's like so much stuff. There are multiples of everything.
mm,
I don't need to so to say compete
mm,
against other shoppers. And I've also noticed that people are looking, most of the time we are looking for very different things. So the amount of searches we see on Gem, and how they like, it's everything and in between. So
mm,
it's not that we are all looking for the same fancy Chanel bags or those rare Miu Miu boots. No, it's like some people are looking for the same items, as you are, but not everyone. There
Mhm.
are so many personalities and styles that, and so there is no lack of anything. So so it means that if I see something in the store or online or somebody wearing it, I can I can take my time, I can observe it, and then I can do a gem search, save my search, and when I save my search on gem, I can also see like how many new matching listings there will be on average during the next day, week, or month or so. So it helps me to figure out like how rare an item is. And also quite often when I have managed to find something with gem that I really wanted, I feel like when I finally find the piece, I'm like, yay, I already got it. And then I don't need to buy
Mhm.
it anymore. I don't know if that makes sense, but I definitely I'm not shopping more because of gem. I feel like I'm shopping less because I know that I can take it easy, take my time, and I can be more mindful when I shop. I don't need to rush and grab everything that I see. Like when I really started like vintage shopping when I was like teenager, around like let's say from 15 to 20 years old or so, like I would buy like all the old clothes that I could find that I liked, even if they were like wrong size, because I was so like, I don't know. I just thought that, I need to buy them
Mhm.
because, otherwise they are gone. And I didn't know that at that time, I didn't know that there is more stuff available because there was not online shopping. And I lived in Finland and we didn't really have like vintage stores, like a
Mhm.
curated vintage stores over there and so on. But yeah,
Mhm.
now I'm more slow and more mindful for sure.
So for people who might not be familiar with the app, could you maybe just explain how it works? Just the basics?
Yes, happy to. So you can call it it's like Google for secondhand and vintage. So it means that it's one search across all resale sites and also independent online stores. So if you're looking for something specific, like Isemiyaki pleats tops, for example, you don't need to first check Etsy, then check eBay, then Poshmark, RealReal, Mercari. The list is endless, especially if you count in all the independent online stores. And so we bring all those listings into one search so you can more easily find what you're looking for. And we show listings also from international online stores, so not only the US-based stores. And also you can use the website, and we have apps for iPhone and Android too. And you can use them like anywhere in the world. And I think our most popular feature is the saved searches that I already described a bit earlier. So it means that if you're looking for this please stop, you can save your search and choose to get email or push notifications for new listings whenever there are like matching listings
Mhm.
anywhere in the world.
So cool.
So
That
cool.
is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gem has been around for a while now. Like how long has it been now? Like
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so
very
I
nice
know
app.
that's so cool, and I love how you like really built a community of like vintage sellers like around the Gem app and like your Instagram channel too. It's like really cool to discover like new people, and it seems like everybody in the vintage community knows you. So,
Yeah, I think we are by now. We are pretty well connected in the vintage community, especially here in New York and then in California too, because those are like the places that we spend most of the time at. Yeah.
mhm.
And yeah, what I love about Gem is to this is something that I didn't like figure out when we launched it or when I had the idea to build something like this is that how much it teaches me. So the more I use it, the more I learn about brands and styles and everything around like vintage because you can easily and pretty fast browse a lot of listings. And like I mentioned, you can learn how rare some items are, or like maybe they're not so rare that you first initially thought.
Cool. Wow. Okay, so I want to kind of there's a couple of things that I'd actually like to like kind of pick your brain about. And like when you are like rounding out your wardrobe, and I get this like, so for me, like my process is that I kind of go in like spurt, like I'm not always like feeling or wanting like the same thing or to the same function. Like somebody was like talking about like I only buy things that are interesting. And it's like, well, like sometimes I buy things that are sometimes I'm in like interesting mode, and then sometimes I'm in I call them like amplifiers, or like the pieces that aren't like that quote unquote, like a pair of jeans, maybe not interesting, but they are, you can style them, like they're styling pieces. And so it's like the interesting pieces and then the styling pieces, I guess. And so like how do you feel those out like in your wardrobe?
Like styling pieces and basic pieces or like staple pieces.
Yeah, like I would say like wow pieces, and then like the
Uh,
styling
yes.
pieces that connect the wow pieces.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they have like different functions. Do you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like,
Yes. Yeah, I totally, yeah, I understand. But I think like a couple of years ago, I decided that all my pieces need to be wow pieces.
wow pieces, yeah.
So I feel like in order for me to love a garment, it needs to be special. And
Mm,
if it's like very like a gray sweater without glitter or print or anything, it's like it's not that. So I was thinking like, yeah, if I buy something, everything needs to be special.
mhm.
So I guess that's my wardrobe. I don't know if I have any so-called basics. Or
Okay.
maybe my basics are like my kind of basics.
Yeah,
That makes
like
sense.
extra
I love
is your
that.
basic. Yeah, so like okay, so we're all over 40. We're 50s, right? So many women like over 40 feel this like pressure to like tone down their style. And that's not what you've done. So like what would you say to those women who feel like they have to like, be like more palatable now that they're of a certain age?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm in a lucky position that I've never like kind of like felt that way, mostly because I've been working for myself, I guess. Like I only had like a very short period of 9 to 5 job when I was like around my like after graduation, and then I really felt the need and urge to kind of like dress down totally. So then I did buy like some like work clothes from Zara that I would on my, so I was like working for this magazine, and it was kind of like industry magazine. So I had to travel and interview all these like older men, like professional men. And I would, taking a train or bus somewhere because I didn't have a driving license. So I would like change my clothes in a train lavatory into my and to kind of like hide myself because I wanted to make myself look older so that I would not be like too girly.
Mhm.
So during that period, I totally experienced that, and then it was like I knew that this job was not mine forever. I was already like trying to find something else, so I didn't really like it was an experiment. I didn't like think too much about it, or I didn't suffer from it. But I think it's really sad if people feel the way that you describe, that you are kind of like you need to be more quiet and toned down and something like less. So I would like maybe first try to analyze the situation. Like, why do you feel that way? Is it really so? Maybe it's I don't say that this is not true what you say, but maybe to see like what if you didn't tone down? Like what would happen? Would that be so awful? And of course there are like so many nuances. You can be like wearing something that is very like not grabbing any attention, and then there is the opposite, like full on maximalist, all the
Mhm.
colors of the rainbow and zillion accessories. So of course like you don't need to go like you know to the full circle, but there are like nuances where you
Mhm.
can experiment. But yeah, I would try to like stop and ask like why do you feel that way? Is it really so? And what would happen if you would not tone down your style?
Mm.
I don't know, does this make sense? Or do you agree?
Yeah.
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 Have you ever, I mean, besides the stint changing in the train bathroom, did you have you ever had a style transformation yourself where you felt like, oh, I'm dressing totally differently now, or has it remained kind of consistent?
Oh, definitely there have been like many changes. I feel like one recent change was when we moved to California, San Francisco.
Mm,
Then I think might have toned down my style a little bit because it's interesting how we try to, when you're traveling, you quite often end up, buying something that is not actually your style because you kind of like your style starts to adapt to
totally.
the environment. And
Mm.
when I was
Yes.
in California, maybe I was like wearing a bit more color than in Finland. And where I go back to Helsinki, I start to wear black again, and it's not fun. I don't like to wear black. But yeah, so that happens. But I can't remember like any like super dramatic, changes. But I think I'm always adapting to the environment. And now that I'm in New York, where everything and anything goes, I'm like at my happiest ever because I
I
feel
love
like
that.
I can wear whatever, and you know,
I'm
Mhm.
super
if
jealous of
somebody
that
comments, it's usually a
vibe.
compliment. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed what you said because I was talking. Sorry.
Yeah, so like here in New York, if somebody comments my outfits, it's usually a compliment, no matter. And I'm not the craziest person, regarding my style. Of course, like there are much more experimental persons here than me.
Yeah, I love that though. So you're in New York now and you spent time in San Francisco?
Yes, so we lived in San Francisco 2.5 years. Like,
Mhm.
And I'm very curious how your style shifted, if at all, in San Francisco, because a lot of people say it's a very, very casual city, which I think is pretty true. I mean, we kind of know, but and like, was it a challenge at all for you to kind of maintain your interesting style while you were living in San Francisco?
I can't remember that it was a challenge, but I did wear like blue jeans, and I don't wear blue jeans anymore. So that's a change. Um, yeah, but I can't remember
Not even
anything
like
like too dramatic.
interesting blue jeans, like not even like not even like barrel leg jeans or like wide leg or like crazy silhouette jeans.
I mean, I would be happy to wear a pair of blue jeans, but I just don't have a pair at the moment. I do have some pairs somewhere in a storage unit, but I can't even remember which one. I guess in
Oh my,
Helsinki.
Yeah, they're somewhere.
Yeah.
So awesome. Yeah, so what is one myth about fashion or personal style that you wish that more people would let go of?
I think that's the thinking that you can't wear something because of your age or gender or body type or something else. Yeah, I feel like, of course, there are limits, in professional life. Sometimes there is a dress code and you need to stick to it, but that's a kind of like another story. But other than that, I wish that everyone could feel more free to wear whatever they want and just be, just experiment. And you can take small steps. Like for example, like I've been trying to go through all my old clothes gradually to see if I really want to keep them, or if it's time to give them away, and just like trying to create an outfit around the old piece, or maybe it is something new piece, and just you can just walk around the block or do like a go grocery shopping. It doesn't need to be like a huge like party situation where everything is documented or something like that, but you can take like literal baby steps wearing, something new to you. And then that's a way to figure out like if it works for you, just to,
Mm.
test it out.
I
And
love that. I love that. Like grab something that you think that you're kind of unsure of and just like wear it grocery shopping. That is such a great idea. That's like good advice.
It's
It
the
kind of
power.
dovetails. Sorry.
It's the power of the produce section.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta wear it grocery shopping.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of dovetails into our last question, which was if you could give one piece of advice to someone standing in front of their closet feeling overwhelmed, what would it be? And I guess you can say go to the grocery store and
Mm.
something if you
Yeah.
want.
Well, my piece of advice is like everything just takes time and patience. Like for me, like when I was trying out my old clothes, I didn't even like I had like several weeks in Helsinki. I had lot of time to, create the outfits and go outside, but still I ran out of time. So you know, and take it easy. It takes time to everything takes time to, style wise, because you need to try on things before you real figure out like if it works for you or not. So
Mm.
also like standing in front of your full wardrobe, maybe take like go through like two items per week and try to see if they are still you or not, and then try to, categorize items into definitely not, maybe, and yes pieces. And for me, it's like I love that I have like the storage unit situation, because then it's my shopping really, because I go like once a year I go to Helsinki, and I kind of always forget, oh, I have this item here. Whoa. So it's like getting like new clothes again. So sometimes, storing something for a year or two and then taking them out again can be like super fun.
Mm.
So I would also advise not you don't need to be like so radical when you are going through your clothes that, you know, you need to immediately know like which piece is yes and which piece is no piece.
Mm. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking with us, Lisa. I'm so excited. I mean, like, I had to say, like, when I was going through like my tough time and then I finally started to get into like reselling, like you were like literally the first person to give me support. And I was like, you're the first person to feature my new endeavor. And I just was like, yeah. So I'm just like so happy to like share Gem with my audience too. And yeah, just because like I don't know. I love Gem anyways, and I love secondhand and I love you. So I'm so glad that you came on our show.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I was like, because I knew, like, I immediately noticed that it was so natural to you to go thrifting. You were so good at finding those pieces, and now you are so good at styling. So I was like, wow. And I, because I've been, following you for 2 decades. It's
I
been a
know too.
while. And I knew that, this is your thing, and I knew that this you are good at this, what you're doing. So it was, natural to, highlight you. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. Well,
Awesome.
yeah.
So fun chatting with you. I'm glad to meet, if not face to face, like this.
Yeah, on things. So yeah.